Do you know what? Let me pull up a map for stream here to see. Do maps. Where is it? World map. Let's go like this. Okay, so the dead tree is in the Velocar, or in the Whisperlands here. And in the dead tree, there is uh, actually one of the first souls of the one of the like the first champions. They call them the First Bloods. Is in this tree. It's trapped in it, and that's where they just got to. They just got to talk to this guy for the first time. So in the downtime talk in the Discord, Jess, her character's name is Fornera, who's named after one of the flowers, is is in there just kind of like sitting there asking questions to this guy. So yeah, so it's one of the first souls of there was the first age when it was brought about. There was first 30 that was born. They were the first bloods. They were the ones that kind of went out in this great world and were kind of like the architects almost, along with their mother Selene, who's queen, and she and them just kind of this is going to go here. Garbania is going to be built here. We're going to put a city here, temples, like all these kinds of things. They just kind of went and built, and then they started to um, build. Amongst themselves, they all had more abilities than most do. You know what I mean? They are demigods. Selene, Queen Selene, she is the firstborn of the five. So the five gods, the five deities, when they built Seioo, which is the world, um, and then gave birth to this first island, which is Hyrestria. The first that they gave birth to was a woman named Selene. They have this knife that holds, the combination of the five of their blood, and in Gekic is written creation on the side of this blade. And when you say, your little chant to it and end with this creation word, you're able to create life with it. So they created Selene out of the first of their bloods, and then they gave the knife to her because they were drained. They didn't realize how much power was actually going to be drained for them when they built this place. They had to go back to their own realms to kind of, recharge and gain their power back. So they gave this knife to her, put her in the world, and said, now you create. And from her, the first 30 was bred. That's where the first elves came from, the first furbolgs, and dwarves and humans and all the different variants, and even the monster races, even the orcs and stuff like that. They were all bred from Selene. Clearly there was multiples because there was 30 of them, but they spent all of their time going and just heading out into the world and learning to be a family, growing, and just building. So they used all their abilities. They started growing Garbenia. It wasn't to the grand size that it is now, but Clenand Hill, which is the schools, the temples, things like that, High Hill, and those places were finished first. Those were the places. High Hill is where the seven houses live, the seven great houses. And then once they had all this stuff built and their kind of their architecture done, they started to create on their own. They went to Selene, and Selene kind of, she took the knife, she took blood from one of the first and added it to the dagger, and from there she created another, hundred and like 150,000 of these kind, cut the dagger into another one. So they were each gaining um, more and more blood, kind of like a muddled blood. So it's not as much of that deity's blood anymore. It keeps getting muddled and muddled with each use of it. And then once there was enough of them out in the world, they just let them go and procreate themselves, right? They kind of stopped using the dagger. Um, and Selene said, we have enough people in the world right now. Let's let them go and procreate, and let the cycle of life just kind of continue from there, right? And once that that kind of goes down, and the first 40-ish years were not too bad. Um, there was, around year 27, there started to be quite a lot of inner turmoil amongst the first 30. Each of them kind of saw something different that they wanted to do in the world. They each wanted to, um, you know, take one direction, go one direction, kind of like the same way the deities fought about how the world should be created before, they all crashed into each other in the center of the universe, creating this ball of water, Seioo. I don't know if you guys ever, like, I'm sure Jess has, but I don't know if you cast have ever read the lore that I have, like I think it's just called the first book or something like that. But it's just
Yeah.
about
Hmm.
the like how sea was created, and how the deities and stuff kind of did that amongst themselves.
Not in its entirety yet.
No, no, I figured that's fine. That one's actually not really that long. That one's pretty short, because a lot of stuff I can't actually put onto the Discord because it would be complete and utter spoilers for the people playing in the Champions games. So that one's just very brief. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of like what happened before the Great Disaster. You know what I mean? Um, do you guys have any questions about those, like, earlier years? Like, I'm sure Jess has a million of them.
Not at the moment, but I'm sure I will.
Okay. Um, so yeah, so like, around year 27, there was a lot of, that inner turmoil, a lot of people fighting amongst themselves, and in that happening, somebody tried to actually leave the island. Okay. They went to, if you're looking at the map here, it's just called the Forbidden Isle. Nobody knows what it's called. Like, it's just called the Forbidden Isle right there. And in the Forbidden Isle, um, this person who left, they started to build. I'm not going to tell you who left. That's something that I can't really say. And I know, Jess, you're thinking it's Othax, but I will tell you that it's not.
Yeah, no.
I will tell you that it's not.
Is it someone that like you've written about somewhere that like
Oh yeah,
kind of
100%. You
okay,
yeah,
okay.
you probably have heard about this person at some point or
Okay, okay.
another.
Huh.
Yeah, you probably heard about this person at some point or another, but it's not the person trapped under the tree.
Okay.
That would make way too much sense. Come on, I have to throw you for a little bit of a loop. Um, so they went and they started to build on this island. They started to build their own castle, kind of like Selene's castle on the mountain. Um, it, the rest of the world wasn't really having it. I'm not going to kind of tell you who or what went and did what there, but it was destroyed. The person that was there was actually killed.
Oh.
Um, that bloodline, one of the bloodlines from the first 30 was killed out there. And after that, it was forbidden to leave the island. After the year 50, when they did the first kind of mind wipe, um, because Selene very much wants this world to live in peace. The deities put her here to run a utopia, right? She doesn't want to disappoint them, so she very much wants to rule this place in peace. So to try to keep the peace, instead of everybody knowing that there is this this deadly being, this deadly entity underneath this big gigantic world tree that that covers, like, its canopy covers the entirety of the island pretty much. um, she does something. And again, I can't kind of tell you what she does because that's part of the game thing if you want it to be. um, she does something that kind of wipes that memory away. In doing that, she, the first time she did that, she wiped that memory away of whoever left the island. She didn't want that inner turmoil amongst the family. So she almost wiped that bloodline from existence. Um, and because of that, she, and because that wasn't a recurring thing, when she put that, like, she almost kind of made it seem like you're safer to just stay on the island kind of thing. Like, look at this ruined island in the distance. Like, don't go there. It's just stay here. It's nice and safe in our utopia, kind of thing. And try to keep everybody in just like the right mind state of not living in fear of something that they don't know how to get rid of underneath them. I know that's probably raising a lot more questions, right? um, yeah. So in year 50, after there was a guy named Othax. Othax is the guy that's now trapped under the tree. He's the bad guy, quote unquote, um, in my game. And he kind of, around year 47, really lost it and he wanted to leave the island. He was one of the first 30 as well, wanted to leave the island. And Selene wouldn't let him. She gave him his reasons, about the deities and everything else, and living in Utopia, and wanting to just grow the world that they have here. She didn't think it was finished yet. She thought that they still needed to work on it. Um, and so she didn't want to let people go. And so she told him that, stay here, be here, and he couldn't handle it. He kind of lost it. Othax was one of the most powerful of the 30. He was the only shapeshifter. He was the only shifter of all of them. Um, and in doing, in his ability, the first shifter, he not only was able to shift into, different, like, brothers and sisters and different of the races that he looked like with them, but he could shift his whole like molecular being kind of thing, and shift himself into huge dragons, shift himself into, like deity-sized beings, and in doing that, he had deity-sized powers. Um, the only thing that they could do to trap him was to essentially go to the deities and, ask for some kind of help. Um, they found a way to finally lessen his power. They whittled him down. The blood of the 28 that was left fighting him. One was already gone. He was turned. Um, they found a way to pull together, and this family bond that joined them, that brought them together, was something that, to this day, in the game, the more that you guys bond together in game, the more boons you actually get, because there is this family bond that the first 30, we'll just call them the first 30, or just call them the first bloods, um, built for themselves. You guys being of their bloodline, it's still in you if you find a way to form that bond as well. Oh, thanks for the follower. I really appreciate that, Rohindi. Thanks very much. Thanks for the follow. Um, yeah, feel free to ask any questions you'd like in chat if you're just, learning about Hyrestria, as I'm sure you probably are. Not many people know about this world right now, but there's a lot of stuff going on. And if you would like, I will put an invite to the Discord there for you as well, because we're actually just in a voice chat that you are more than welcome to be in. This place is for everybody to learn and play and just have fun. So appreciate you. There's also no hard feelings if you don't join the Discord or anything like that. I just always want to throw that out there to anybody new. Um, so yeah, so they found a way to lessen his power, and in lessening his power, they they got the five to come. Evzin, who is the goddess of nature. I'll put the goddesses up here in the notes for you guys to see as well. And gods and goddesses. So Evzin is a goddess of nature. She's the most widely worshipped by elves, gnomes, druids, things of that nature, nomadic tribes. She typically appears in the form of a giant white stag. Nobody knows what um, her real form looks like. Um, because that's what she always wants to appear as in the world. She is so in touch with nature that's she just wants to be this beautiful gigantic white stag. She's got ivy growing all up and down her horns and up and down her legs and wrapped around her body. Um, so she came and with her brought this massive world tree seed, planting it you know, in this world. And then Subris, who's the god of life and death, he came over the tree and blessed it. Subris he's probably the most powerful of the five. Um, he's always depicted as a man and a woman with two heads. He's got one man head and one woman head. He's got four arms, two tails. He's just the most widely worshipped of all of the gods. There's a temple dedicated to him everywhere that you go. Um, but there's only actually one story about him in the history books. And the story that's in the history books, the only time that anybody other than the First Bloods and Selene have seen him is this one time. He's the only deity that kind of keeps a lot more to himself. So he came into this world. He blessed the tree, which a tree this size it would take thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years to grow. With his blessing, it grew in an instant, and trapped underneath it in these gigantic tree roots, formed this prison for Othax. And welcome to the Discord, by the way, Rohindi. Glad to have you here. um, so yeah, that's super. So he blessed the tree, and this big, massive tree grew and trapped him underneath. Um, then, you know, the flowers bloomed. The first flower that bloomed was the loprite. It was the one that I just did the picture of, which I don't have here, but I have on my phone. Do you know what? I don't have it here, but I do have a note on them if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so the loprite, it's light orange in color, black spots all along the bottom side of the petals. The petals are long and flop down like peeled bananas. The stamen is long and curly with green buds on the end of them. And they aren't very large, but they are plentiful. So that was the first flower that grew into the world, and those flowers, um, they coincided with the tree. They grew with that. Um, and then there was peace. There was peace in the world, and the peace lasted for another 49 years. The tree, the big world tree, um, never actually dropped any of its leaves in those first 49 years of it being grown. It just kept growing, kept growing, kept growing, getting larger, getting larger. The canopy getting deeper. Um, there was lots of nuts and fruit that grew up on the top of it. There's actually one brewery in Garbedia now. The year is now in the world year 1371. Um, but there's one brewery in the world that Selene has allowed. It's run by Kenku of all things. But they're allowed to fly up to the canopy of the world tree and actually pick nuts and fruits from up there to make into their liquors and ales and things of that nature. Oh
Sounds
yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, you like that? You found that exciting? Cool. Well, you know what? Thanks for following. I really appreciate it. You know, there's lots of D&D stuff that goes on here where, you know, this is the first lore talk we're doing. But there's lots of stuff to read in the Discord as well. Thank you for the follow. Um, yeah, so, you know, in year 49, the leaves for the first time ever on this tree started to fall. Or sorry, not year 49, year 99. You know, 49 years after the tree was born. They had lived in peace. There hadn't been any problems. Um, Nature had just kind of gone on. The first 30 had they you know there's not too much I can kind of well, I guess I can kind of talk about this now because you know people know about soul quests in the Discord. I've talked about that with a lot all the parties that are kind of playing right now. So um, every person born in my world has a soul quest. Whether you know what the soul quest is or not, um, most people don't actually know. Most people don't actually figure out what the soul quest is. Um, maybe never. Maybe not until their fourth or fifth time going through life. They don't know what it is because it's not something that's just given to you. It's something that just you fall into. You know, it either happens to you through random happenstance or it doesn't. um, but it's not something that you're just told about. And a lot of people don't even know what soul quests are, unless you've kind of been privy to speaking with a deity or speaking with Queen Selene or somebody that hasn't been affected by, you know, the memory loss that happens. You're not going to know about these old ways. So I completely forgot what I was actually talking about. Oh yeah, so it was the Soul Quest. So um, the first 30, well the 28, um, were reborn. They were reborn through Selene, and she kept them, you know, at her side for the first 3 years of their life. After the first 3 years of their life, she, you know, let them out into the world. Being of you know the blood of the first bloods, you know, being of their lineage, they could endure it. You know, they could handle being out in this world. They weren't just kind of like thrown to themselves. They were put in places where somebody would find them. You know, what would kind of happen from there was up to them to decide. You know, it was up to them to go out and to find their own way. She wanted to get away from, you know, people being better than anybody, so she wanted them to just go live their lives, at least in the first cycle. So she sent them out there, you know, 3 years old. Everybody's found by their own kind of people, and they went and they lived their lives. Year 99, um, the leaves started to fall, and as the leaves fell, Selene, being as the closest to the deities and closest to, you know, the lifeblood of the world tree, um, she felt its power wane for the first time ever. And in the power waning, um, she felt, you know, Othax gaining power. She could feel like she like over the years now, you know, the year 1371 was how much power and how much of her magic she uses to keep herself trapped in this castle away from, you know, what Othax is doing and trying to do. Um, she's lost a lot of her power, so she doesn't feel it as strong now. But back then, she felt everything that was happening with her children, and she felt Othax gaining power for the first time in 49 years as the leaves started to fall. And as the last leaf fell off this tree, he finally gained enough power back to break out. I know it sounds very much like Shannara Chronicles, which is probably where I took some of my inspiration for it. Um, but it's not like all the demons are stuck down there or anything like that. It's just this one person, and I just like the imagery of the tree, which is why I used it. Um, but you know, he found a way to get out because in him losing power and getting trapped down there, like they couldn't kill him. They couldn't find a way to actually kill this guy. Every time they did, he would find a way to shift his shape to negate the effect. If they used a poison on him, he shifted his shape to something that was, immune to poison. Things of that nature, and it just what kept going on and on and on and on. Um, and it, so they couldn't find a way to actually kill him. They could only find a way to weaken his power enough to lock him away. So that's what they did. And as he escaped, Selene, for the first time in 46 years or 44, 45 years, 46 years, yeah, 46 years, she had to call upon the 28 that were left. She had to pull them from their homes. She has a guy named Forrester who's kind of like her minion because she doesn't leave her house, she doesn't leave her castle. He kind of goes all over the place and um, finds whatever she needs, or tells people about whatever she's trying to get her point across, or whatever law she's trying to pass, or things of that nature, right? Um, so he kind of went out there, and helped find the 28, bringing them back to Selene's castle. And for the first time, the cycle of Hyrestria started. You know, um, they were told who they were. They were told that they were deities, essentially, or demigods. They were the closest bloodline to hers, and she is the closest bloodline to the deity. So they were essentially told that they were demigods, and um, their forebears, their ancestors, went and were the people that built this place, that put this guy away, that helped birth the tree, helped come up with like all these things, and it's just thrown at them. And thankfully, some of them were champions, of the arena. Some of them were fighters. Some of them magicians. Like, it was all inherently in their blood, right? So they kind of were gravitated towards certain things, depending on if they actually went to all those things or not. A lot of them didn't, but some of them did. Um, but they found a way to rise up and go and fight Othax. Find a way to, you know, they went to find a way to kill him, because that's what the ultimate goal is to find a way to kill this guy who is, wants to leave this island, um, and Selene won't let him. And they found a way to put him away again, but they didn't find a way to kill him. Um, in this first age, one of the bloodlines actually went and sided with Othax. He was the first to turn. Over the ages, there has been 9 of the bloodlines that have actually turned to the other side, to go, believe in Othax. One thing that I won't show here, but I will talk about, is, we'll kind of go back to the deities and stuff like that. Um, but there is a map that I won't show. But there is an entire, this exact same size map. There is a full underground world to Hyrestria that none of my players have ever been to. Um, the over the years, and I'm not going to say how many are still left, of the bloodlines that have turned, but um, there's there may be cities under there. You don't know what's underneath there. But there may be a whole nother world on the underground that you guys don't know about, that the bloodlines that have turned are building. A lot more to think about, right, Jess?
Yeah, now it's my mission to get there.
Well, think about it. When the foreign flower goes underground for 9 months,
Right.
where does it go?
That's exactly where my mind went.
Right? You know, that's the only flower. So the foreign flowers, there's only actually 6 foreign flowers that bloom in the world. They're each in a certain spot. Um, One of them is actually where Jess's character, when that foreign flower was bloomed, um, in in what year was it for you guys? It was 1303 for you in your time. Um, when that flower bloomed, she was inside the flower bloom, and Evzin, So Fornair is a druid. How you become a druid in my world is you actually have to be blessed by Evzin. Evzin comes to you in her stag form. She puts her two, her antlers. She bows and kind of like blesses your shoulders, like as she goes down on them, and your magical power kind of rushes through you. So this 3-year-old baby, um, tiefling was born in this flower, and Evzin was there along with some other druids and stuff, and the druids were so in awe. Evzin, she's known to be seen because she has to come. Oh, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate that overall, minion. Thanks very much. That's fantastic of you. Um, Feel free to ask any questions that you'd like. There's a lot of lore to learn about Hyrestria. Um, and there's also a Discord that you can join. You can find in my links and all that kind of stuff. Um, but so there was all these druids around, but she's known to be in the world, but she doesn't come to watch the flower blooms. This was the first time something like this has happened, so it was a very rare sight. And Fornera, who's named after the flower now because of it, was Evzin took her in her antlers off the flower because it's a big, massive kind of sunflowerish thing that blooms. Oh, do you know what? Do I have a picture of that here? No, I have a picture of it in the Discord. Do, 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 do. Give me a second. I'll find that and I'll bring that into Fantasy Grounds here and I'll show you guys because it's a great picture. Just made it. So, took her from this flower and gave her to one of the people that was around there. And that was the person that has been taking care of her ever since, until she was brought to Selene and told of her lineage and what her quest is and things like that. Okay, the picture is here. Do, 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 do. Where is it? I gotta save it and like add it to Fantasy Grounds, but that's fine. Do you guys have any questions about anything so far?
Well, I was gonna ask because you were talking about how the foreign like came out of the ground and
Oh,
like
yeah. So
maybe that's the connection to the other side. But like
so
you did write that there was a woman who like tried to dig through there for like a mile.
she did. There was a woman that tried to dig down. Um, but I think I also said that she gave up. I don't
Yes,
think I
yes.
said that she just didn't dig far enough. Because
Okay.
when the foreign flower goes down, like that's where we started talking about it. It actually goes down and it blooms on the underside. It's actually like on the
Right.
ceiling of the Underdark.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
yeah. Okay. So I need to do maps folder.
Renera's gonna try to like hop back into the flower and go to the other side.
Yeah. I mean, you're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to try anything that you would like. That's the fun of D&D, right? Whether it works or not. Well, also, when's the next Flower blooming? I can't remember what year it is in your game. Um, where is that image? Where did that image save? Um, yeah, I don't remember what age it is for you.
Oh.
Or sorry, what month it is for you. Actually, you know what? I have it right here. I can pull it up right here because I'm actually in your session. So it
Yeah, my notes
is.
are in there.
It's in the. You're on the 14th of October, and
Right.
the flower blooms in. So you're like 4 months away
Okay.
because it's in Marth.
Right.
But you'll also have to be by one of those flowers, like one of those 6 flowers. You only know where one of them blooms,
Huh.
right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so here is the image to everybody in chat here. Yeah, so it's just like this big sunflower. Imagine how big it is to have this like little tiefling baby in there. Definitely not, not we're not professionals here or anything like that, but it 100% represents exactly what it should, which is great. So, she was taken off, and that's how druids are born. She was definitely the youngest one, um, that the world has record of. There have definitely been other, in the 26 ages or 27 ages that the world has had happen now. Um, there's definitely been more druids that have been blessed of the same bloodline, mostly of Fornera's bloodline, to be honest, because a lot of them tend to go that same way, like I was saying. Um, so yeah, so the first age they found a way to seal him away again. After somebody went to his side. Um, what they did is they found places of power in the world where certain um, of the world tree roots grew, and um, there was a language that Selene chose to have lost as well in the first wipe, the first memory wipe, we'll call it. Um, there was a language called Gekic, which you know what? Let me import some more images here for you guys, not items. And she gave them this book of how to learn how to read Gekic essentially, and they taught themselves because Gekic it's the first language. It's a language that was built by the first the five the deities. These are the Gekic runes. Um, so built by like what it was a combination of the sounds that the five of them could each make, essentially, built into this one language. They each found a way to communicate themselves with their grunts and their whinnies, because Evelyn always wanted to be appear as an animal, no matter what she could look like. She wanted to appear as an animal. So they each had their things, and this was the language that was built from there. There's 58 ruins in the language, and it's lost because there is magic that's imbued in the language. So she gave them this book, and they went and they found these places of power, and they built ruins around um, the roots, caught it, allowing them to regain their power. But again, it can only last so long. It only lasts for that 49 years before the leaves start to fall again. So this cycle has happened 27 years. The bloodline is thinning out more and more and more. The cycle that happens in the game that we play, it can range depending on how many people want to, but the most I would let in there is only actually 6 people. So there's only actually 6 bloodlines that are left um, in the year 1371 that people know about. A lot to take in, right? What do you think of it all, Cast?
Oh, I'm just sitting here for the free story.
Yeah, you enjoying it so far?
Definitely interesting.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I've definitely spent a lot of time thinking about the world at this point, as you can tell. I could talk about this place for forever. Yeah, but
Well, it does help never to be unprepared.
no, I'll be honest. Probably the last 10 sessions that I've run in this world, I haven't had to open my notes for anything really, which is kind of nice. Like, I've spent so much time writing and reading and just thinking about it that it just, it all just kind of comes to me at this point. And um and because and even if there's things that aren't even written, the whole like the world is so ingrained into me as to what it should be like that if I have to make things up on the spot about it, it comes so naturally to me at this point. More just for this world than any other role-playing game that I play, but for my world at least, it works like that. What about you, Jess? You got what else? I know you got more questions for me.
I don't know. I mean, every time you say something, I have more questions. I just want to see where Vesper's story goes.
Yeah,
Because I know there's going to be a whole lot to dig into with that.
yeah. Vesper is like I think she is probably like my favorite part of the world.
Hmm.
There's just like I don't even know how to describe it. So for anybody listening, that doesn't know, so Vesper is um she's the first book that I decided to write in my world. I'm trying to turn it into like, not just a D&D game, but a place that people can read about stories, just a world. Um, so Vesper is this little 6-inch tall mouse. She is pure white in color. Um, she lives in the trunk of an elder tree called Quiet Trunk. Um, and her name in Gekic, Vesper in Gekic, means balance. And that's what she is. Vesper is the balance of the world. Um, she's one of the first 30 bloodlines in reincarnation, essentially. Like she's one of the first bloods. But she wasn't brought back in, her soul's quest wasn't brought back to a human or an elf or anything like that. For the first time in a First Blood's existence, it actually happened twice to her because she has Mauser there with her. Mauser is also one of them, which is why he's the only other. Like, there's only actually two white mice in all of Hyrestria, um, Vesper and Mauser. And the story is a lot more about her, but I guess Mauser would be the Samwise to Frodo. He Because Mauser he means courage. So Mauser is the courage of the world, where Vesper is the balance of the world. So it's just a quest that I'm writing, or a story that I'm writing about the mouse that finds a way to balance the world. The best way that that it was put was, she's trying to find a way to take the good and the evil and just erase it all, because there's not supposed to be good and evil in this world. It's just supposed to be equality throughout it all. So she's here to balance the world. And I'm having a lot of fun writing about her. Anybody that's here listening, in the Discord, the book that I am writing is there for anybody to read. It's just called The Tales of Vesper. Um, Anybody is more than welcome to go and give it a read. Yeah,
So you
it's
recommend it?
what's that? Yeah, I hope so. I've put like all my heart and soul into that, I think. And I've never written anything. The writing is probably, I could probably use so much better grammar and many other things like that. But my writing is all about the imagery, and I think that is 100% portrayed. Yeah, so I'm very happy to be writing about Vesper.
Do we know what age Vesper is in? Or would that ruin things?
No, it's in her story.
Is it?
Yeah.
I missed it.
It is. I think it's in like the fourth or fifth paragraph. Where is Vesper's Tales here? Books. Now let's stream up through like 15,000 words or something like that, or scroll. So Vesper is in do, 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 uh, right here. It was the ninth of Drastir, year
Yeah.
1318.
Okay.
That's when her story starts.
Mhm.
So she's in your timeline-ish.
Yeah. Okay.
But when you play in the game, like no matter what timeline you play in the game, she can always be found as
Mm.
she is not easy to find him. How hard? So you got to think. Vesper, like she's got two monikers. She's Vesper the Balance and Vesper the Blur. How do you find a
Mm.
6-inch white blur in a world, right? You don't find her unless she wants to be found, or you happen to come across her in the middle of her, doing her quest.
Good to know.
Yeah, I'm very excited for somebody to find Vesper. But yeah, so that like she's gonna be so much fun to write and to just learn about and play about. Yeah, and so that's the first the kind of like the gist of the first 100 years of Hyrestria. Yeah, okay, so you probably want to ask about the trees some more, I'm going to assume, because we didn't really touch on that, right?
Me?
Yeah, because you were
Uh,
asking Fiendo about the trees.
yeah.
So there were 9 trees, 9 elder trees that were born from Evzin at the beginning. Quiet Trunk, Ashroot, Willow Branch, Elmskin, uh, Leafbeard, Strongbark, Hollow Trunk, Knothead, and uh, what was it? It was, oh my god, what was the last one? It's funny, I can remember fucking 8 of the 9, but the last one leaves my mind. Um, oh yeah, Oak Root. There was 2 roots. There was Oak Root as well, because they were the two that had the very deep roots. Um, and what they were is, these 9 trees, their roots covered essentially the entirety of Hyrestria. Evzin, it was the last thing that Evzin built before, like put into creation before she went back to her own realm to recharge. Um, and they were like her veins. They let her feel the lifeblood of the earth while she wasn't in the realm. Um, So when I say like in one of the stories that one of them uproots, it probably actually takes one of them about a year to actually uproot before they can start moving, with how deep their roots actually go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they move, it's a very slow process. Like it, like when Ashroot moved from the Widowwoods to the Velocom, it took him like 10 years, just slowly moving, putting a couple roots down to get some a little bit of power, a little like recharge it a little bit because there's only so long that the tree can stay uprooted and move. So it's just process of just moving, rerooting, uprooting, rerooting, moving, just like over and over and over and over again. Which is why in the story when Cry Trunk talks about moving to this spot here and not wanting to move again, like that's the reason. It's such an arduous process. Yeah, but I really love that imagery as well of like this tree kind of like, and it's almost like using its roots as like tank wheels, if you could imagine, because there's so many of them that he's holding himself up on these roots and they're moving in a way that he's just kind of like slowly rolling himself along, moving himself through the world on these like slowly growing roots that are using, little thorns on them to dig into the earth and like, just pull himself along, right? Yeah, I can't imagine that being a fun process. And it's one of those things like they probably wouldn't have even accepted help from anybody. Like maybe the Kenya, maybe, but that would have only have been in the Widow Woods because the Kenya wouldn't have left the
Right.
Widow Woods. The Kenya is they're the elf tribe that was born from. They're actually born from Fiando because he was the first elf. So they were born from him, and they just, they cyclically walk the Widow Woods, going from their spot to spot, just making sure that everybody's safe. The critters are safe, the flowers are safe, the trees are safe. Nobody's causing troubles. Getting stories, telling stories, things of that nature. They're actually one of the only people, one of the only like from the beginning, that don't have their memory wiped. There's not many people that don't. You guys always meet one of them at the beginning when you meet, um, not Forrester, but Fryrith the Inirith, the guy that's at Utedale.
Mm.
He's one of the other ones that they don't wipe his memory because he helps you guys. They want somebody in the First Legion that remembers this, um, so they understand the importance of how good the First Legion has to be. Do you know what I mean? Even though the
Mm.
world doesn't have too much toil and like trouble and turmoil unless you live in higher, um, they still want that First Legion to be ready for anything because Othax is going to come in 49 years. Oh, my throat's starting to hurt. It's different when you're DMing because at least when you DM, you get chances to stop
Yeah.
and other people are talking, things like that. It's weird when you're just straight talking about it for a while. It's you know what? This is I'm actually really enjoying this. This is the first time I think that I've just sat and talked about the world like this. You know what I mean? I mean, like we've had like talks about things. You know what I mean? But I've never gone through like that 100-year story like that really,
Mhm.
other than like by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, the language was hard to make, but that was fun. How's your world building going, Cast? That map you showed me.
That is still very much a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing is trying to, I believe the phrase is tame the inner monkey and get stuff on paper.
hmm What's what's your let's completely switch topics because I'd like to give my voice a quick break here. Um, what's your let's talk favorite characters. What's your favorite character you ever played, Cast?
Favorite character? That would probably be, and we're going to be switching genres and rule sets a little bit. That would be a mesmerist from Pathfinder, which mechanically speaking is your anti-bard.
Okay.
Um, just stare at someone, kill their will score, or in 5e terms, their wisdom saving throw, um, and then just spam them with psionic or debuffs or something so everyone else can wail on it. There is a variant in which you can go invisible to that particular mob, and it generally pairs well with roguish um, other classes or dips if you so desire.
Okay.
He was a is a tiefling. However, he could pass for an elf. Um, sort of instead of a demon and a human doing the horizontal mambo, it was an elf and a demon doing the horizontal mambo somewhere. Ta-da!
Nice. I like it.
Um, so that was his big thing was very charisma, very debuff oriented.
hmm
Um, and then if all else fails, just go invisible and shank the guy from behind. Whatever.
Very cool. That sounds fun. I'm actually going to start playing in one of Cast's games. Uh, it's based in Tortuga.
Yeah, pretty much. For those of you in the know, this is the Skulls and Shackles adventure path. for Pathfinder 1. So, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, Muppet Treasure Island, pick whichever end of the spectrum you'd like to have your pirate story be told.
Yeah, so I'm still figuring out. Like he's. I was telling Cast about it just before you got in. Um, he's definitely, I feel like he was taken from his home and made to, be a slave on a pirate ship kind of thing. To the point where like he probably disobeyed when he was a kid and either lost an eye or lost a finger. Or, like he's missing something. I don't know what it is yet. And then um, but what they want is they want people that are under like 13 years old, because once you're like 13 years old, then you kind of become strong enough to fight back a little bit, and they don't want anything like that. So they kick you fucking out to like this shadiest place that they could find, pretty much wherever they port next, and just like you're on your own now, kind of thing. So he spent the last like several years just by himself, living on the streets in the gutter, fighting for everything that he's had, stealing everything that he's had, just wanting to find a way to get back on a ship because that's all that he knows. So I think that's who he's going to be.
It be nothing personal, lad. However, it's just good business if we have more malleable crew aboard.
Oh yeah, he's definitely skin and bones, but he's wiry as a motherfucker.
There are keel hauling rules, which I did not know until I got really in depth with this.
Okay.
And if this is ever your need for a visual warning for, rated R 13, or 18 and above, kids don't try this at home. The procedure, and this is actually something that would happen, is that they would tie a rope around the person that had done, some flagrant abuse or killed someone aboard
Mhm.
or did the unspeakable, and they would ring him around under the ship. And so would you could do it either fast or slow. And if you did it fast, then you just got yoinked around in a complete revolution. But remember, there are barnacles on the
Mhm.
bottom of the ship,
Yeah.
so there would be significant flensing and cutting and piercing, and as your bareback ran over the bottom of the vessel.
Sure.
Um, you could do it slowly, in which case then you also had to consider drowning.
Okay. So in other words, um, when I get on a ship, behave.
That was the shy of like just utmost walking the plank or the captain just point blanking you. That was the the be all end all punishment.
I
You
already
did
know.
not
I
do
already
that.
know how I'm gonna gain favor the moment I get onto a ship. I'm going to do that to the weakest person on the ship and make everybody afraid of me.
You're gonna have to orchestrate something significant because that was an event and a visual awe onto its own.
Oh, I know. I'm essentially just gonna, I feel like when I get onto the ship, I'm gonna realize that, you have to prove your worth. Like I know that because of watching it happen over and over with, the people that keep getting brought onto the ship, the slave ship that I was on. They have to prove their worth. So the first thing I would do is prove that I'm not the weakest person here by finding the weakest person and putting them on the spot, kind of thing.
Or at the very least being the person that volunteers to pull the person.
Exactly. Like whatever it is, do you know what I mean? Like just don't be the weakest person there, because if they're looking to get people on the ship, they're not going to keep everybody. They're going to keep the people that know what they're doing. So prove that right away. I guess I'm going to have to see how smart my character is when I roll him, though. I have no idea if he's going to be able to do any of this shit.
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like Ferret has a good idea. Not so sure about his character, though.
Yep. Oh, see, I know that. At least I caught myself with that, right? This is where I would never metagame stuff. I just plan several thousand things into my head as I'd want to do and hope that one of them works out.
That's fair. Yeah, outside of that, Any character that I guess revolves around the charisma stat
Yeah.
probably would be my favorite. I will throw it to our other guest. What's been your favorite character or idea that you've had?
uh, I have not been playing very long. Um, Farad's campaign and then another campaign where the character was made for me are the only two that I've ever played in. So Fornera is definitely my favorite so far.
Have you
um,
have you done any looking into the other classes or whatever just to see, hey, this might be interesting or this might be
yeah.
cool or
Yeah. The other, so Fornera is a tiefling druid. And then the other character that I've been playing is a uh, deep gnome um, rogue. So they've both been very fun and very interesting, but um, it would be cool to venture off into some other things. Definitely like characters that other people have been playing. I'm like, oh, I would love to do like a mix of one of those or something. But right now I'm just digging
Well, you're starting
Fornera.
to make your third one now,
Oh yeah, that's true.
slowly. There's one
I'm working on Sabine.
Sabine Serpent Branch. So the other thing in my world there's a game called the Tiny Arena, which is it's kind of like Pokemon, I guess you would say, but like D&D. And one of the games that we run is that Swan Gulch game where it's just 100% town building. It's just RP, all RP, and Sabine is going to enter the town as a she's going to have a place called the Talkative Terrarium, and she's going to sell these critters essentially. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That game is probably like other than playing the champions, that is probably my favorite thing, just because the RP is so much fun for me. I don't know why it is, but it is.
I mean it is always fun to just role play NPCs that you may never see them again.
Yep. But they're in the 1 year that they are in the game, you can run into them. So if you do play in that year, you can see these people. But yeah, but it's fun. So one of the guys that's in it, guy Aki, who's one of the kind of, like my main players. He plays in all my games, kind of thing. Um, he literally made an entire tavern's worth of people. He made like 9 or 10 people, and wrote out all of their backstories. And I mean like pages of backstories for all of them. It was pretty amazing. Yeah, and I think now we've got like 6 or 7 people that have characters in there. And the fun thing about this game is that if you miss a session, because there's no main overlying story arc or anything like that other than wanting to expand your town, you don't miss out on much. You just miss out on some fun. You know what I mean? But you don't lose anything. You aren't missing any combats or like really world lore or anything like that. You're just missing out on role playing. So that's where the fun of this game kind of comes in, is that people can come and go as they please with it. So even if like even cast like even if you wanted to make a character for it that you didn't get to play with it for like 4 or 5 months, it would never matter because you wouldn't really be missing much other than just fun role playing.
It reminds me there's a blog out there where someone has taken the Pathfinder. I guess it's a combination of rules, but you can effectively level up on your own. And he's literally wrote, "This is the life of Dave the Commoner." And I think he's gotten him up to like level 18 just by recording these entries. Like, yeah, I started out as a blacksmith mentee, and then I moved to another town, and then I did this, and then I got my first follower, and then he was my apprentice. Yada yada yada. The man's up to like level 18 if he's not already finished by now.
That's great. Like that sounds like so much fun. Yeah, I mean, like that's what the quest is. Like the blacksmith, because we have somebody that made a blacksmith. He asked the guy that founded the town, hey, can we go travel to the mountains to try to find like an iron vein that we can mine? Sure, let's go role play going to a like going climbing through the mountains and finding a mine and digging for it. Let's role play that. And that's what we did. It's so menial, but it is so much fun to just role play people, especially in this kind of time of life with so much fucking all the bullshit that happens in the world. Just leave there and
Yeah.
come to Hyrestria. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take just a quick couple minutes away from the computer and just run outside for a smoke. I'll be right back, guys. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
So then, Jess, what's been the most exciting thing that's happened to your character during um the current game?
Know about most exciting, but she had fun. They were headed from one part of the island to the other, and they had to climb down like I guess like a side of like cliff, I guess, with caves, and they started being attacked by baby dragons. Um, and she turned into a wolf spider to attack, and there was a lot of fun with that because there's like a lot of imagery where she could like climb up onto the top of the cave and then like jump down and attack. But they also managed to knock out and then save a baby dragon in the process. So now the group has a baby dragon that they're trying to bond with and figure out what that means. So that was kind of a fun interaction.
I was about to say, after about how many seconds after the words baby dragon came out of Ferret's mouth did everybody go, I want five?
Well, it was hard because they were like attacking us, but also I was definitely freaking out. Like, yes. So we managed to save a baby dragon and then a dragon egg. So we'll see what that means.
Just bite a little less hard, a little softer on my arm, and then maybe I'll just put you in this basket. There we go.
um, Fornera is also like the only person in the world that can actually like talk to animals. So she's also attempted to talk to this baby dragon, but the only thing that it said is dragon, dragon, dragon.
Well, it's just a baby. It doesn't know how to speak yet. Oh, water is so nice on my throat right now.
Yeah, generally a good thing to have,
Well,
I
I,
think
I
at the
had like a
very least.
I had a pop beside me, but that wasn't doing anything. What I figure I should do is when I do streams like this, I should probably um, do it with like a tea beside me or something like that.
Mm.
That's probably the best way to do it. Um, yeah, the baby dragon that I wasn't expecting you guys to take a baby dragon with you.
You said the words baby and dragon right beside each other in the same sentence.
Well, they they
Come on,
they were climbing down vines and they got
Yes.
attacked by like baby dragons that flew out of these little caves. So
baby dragon.
but they also killed like 19 others of them. This group is like by far the most magical out of all of my groups. They all have either animals or something to do with nature. Um, Jess she's from the Widow Woods and she has Clue. Did you tell them about Clue?
No, I have not talked about Clue. I also completely forgot about Clue when we
Oh,
were role
how
playing
could
the
you?
other day, and I was like, oh, what is Clue doing during all of this?
Yep. So Clue is her little kind of like owlish creature, um, but it gains this like a third eye at certain times, um,
Mhm.
which is essentially like Evzin watching over her
Also
because
extremely intrigued. Sorry to interrupt,
no,
but also extremely intrigued by the fact that Clue might have ancestors that have some role in this.
Perclue, good old Perclue. Yeah, there may be more of his kind out there. He may play a big role in Vesper's story. Because you got to think, do you remember the picture I showed you of Mauser
Uh,
where he's riding on a bat?
what?
You don't remember that picture?
I feel like I have not seen this picture. I feel like I would remember
Do I have this picture here?
this.
Let me find it. Give me a second. I'll put it in Discord and on stream for people because I think I should have that. No. Where is that picture? It might take me a couple moments to find it here, so if you guys want to talk about something while I'm searching for it, be my guest. But yeah, like he's like the picture of him is he's riding a bat.
Yeah, I definitely would have remembered that.
Not there. Where is it? I have too many fucking pictures at this point. Oh, here we go. Okay, so Discord. Yeah, that's the picture I saw that inspired me for Mauser.
Yes, I do vaguely remember this.
And let me add it here so I can show the people on the Discord. Or I mean on the stream. Copy, paste. Oh, it's already in here. Okay, cool. I think it's called that. Yeah. So the picture is this. Oh, why did it take it there? I don't want it there. I want it here. Here. Wow, this is very annoying. Why can't I just make it big? Can I do this? No, it won't let me make it big. That's very annoying. Okay, let's add it like this then. Good old fantasy grounds. Love when it does what you want it to all the time.
Can you just zoom in and make the token real big?
No, it won't
Mm-hmm.
even let me like it wasn't even let me place the token for some reason. But there we go. So yeah, so that's what it looks like. So, essentially, it doesn't give anything away for me to tell you this. Like Perklew is what um Vesper rides on. You know what I mean? Like when she's not going on the ground and running around, and eventually when she finds Perklew. Um, but Mauser, he's he's not as mystical as she is. He gets given
Mm-hmm.
this bat to ride on, and I don't have a name for him yet. But yeah, but the bat is that's when you see them traveling around, you may see them riding. If you see a bat and an owl flying somewhere together, it's Mauser and
Shoot
Vesper.
to kill.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, so that's Mauser. Though he
Yeah.
is now missing the tip of his left ear from that fight.
Oh. Mhm.
With the spiders. Yeah, there's a lot of fun lore in that too. So the other thing that's going to happen with Vesper is it's also it's really inspired the rule system that I want to make. Um, because everything in Vesper's world is so tiny. So I thought about, like I want to make a really easy rule system because as much as I love D&D, everything in my world has become homebrew at this point, other than character creation. I go through D&D for character creation. I just want to create my own peoples, my own races, my own stuff. You know what I mean? They'll probably be similar-ish kind of things, but I want to do everything my own homebrew, and just write my own. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it the tiny system kind of thing, or I don't know, something along those lines. And everything, all of the dice rolls are going to be based off of D4s.
Mhm.
Everything's just going to be really simple, you know. And they're just going to be contested rolls. So certain enemies will have like instead of an armor class, everything will be a roll against a roll. So if you rolled a hit,
Mhm.
he's going to have, three d4s to roll. And whatever your attack is, maybe 3d4s, maybe it's 4d4s, maybe it's 2d4s, depending on what it is. And if you beat their roll, then you get to hit them. It's just going to be they're not it's not going to be armor classes and things like that. It's just going to be contested rolls. And then same thing, like a lot of it will be left up to kind of DM's discretion where if you're doing a skill check of some kind, you'll have X amount of D4s that you can roll, and then the DM will roll X amount of D4s, and that will be determining whether it succeeds or fails. It's not like you roll a 15 and you get to see this amount of stuff. It's either just a succeed or fail kind of thing. Because it's not going to be about, it's more about story than it is about the toughness and, you know, the extremities of, say, like a Call of Cthulhu rule system or something like that, where it's not about dying as much as it's about, telling a story together and building um, fantasy and world and stuff like that, right? So it's more about that than anything else. Yeah, it'll be very much a story-based rule system. Because even if you fail on something, it's not like your natural perceptions and your natural abilities aren't going to allow you to get anything on it. It's just going to be, the extra stuff that you're not getting, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I that one will be a whiles in the works. There's too many other things that I have to work on before I sit down and try to write a fucking rule set and build all the other things that would go with it. I mean, it would be fun, but yeah. All right. Um, any other major questions you think you guys have or want to know about?
Mhm.
I mean, you could always ask stuff to Fiendo like you have been. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think my throat has had it for right now. Thanks for being on stream with me. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun talking about the world tonight. Um, everybody that was here, listening in and learning about about the lore, thank you. Thanks to the couple of people that gave me the followers, Rohindi and who was the other guy that gave me a follow? I feel bad I don't remember your name, but I'm gonna find you and thank you. Overall Minion, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it very much. And look forward to more lore streams. Go through the Discord. You can find me on there. You can find me on Twitter or on Discord. It's all Fair World Builder. And I look forward to seeing you all in my world soon. Thanks, guys.